One of the biggest changes too is the younger generations themselves, which I like to call the Y generation, WHY generation. See, because they need an answer to that question for everything they do. This may be an aha moment for some of you. It is when I travel around North America. But when you ask a young person in your sphere of influence to do something, whether in your home, your classroom, or your place of business, and they look back at you and they say, well, why should I do it that way? Most of us take that as a smart aleck response. And we, of course, give the all-American response back, which is, because I said so. Here's the aha, though. Most young people don't mean it as a smart aleck response. What most young people are saying to you is, hey, look, why do we do it this way? Because there has to be a better way to do this. Look, I'm unique, I'm special, I'm important, I'm intelligent, I'm resourceful, I know how to use technology. Why do we do it this way? Because there has to be a way to use Google something. There has to be a way to put it in the cloud. There has to be a way to get a bigger impact. And yet, we cut their knees out from underneath them and we don't give them the opportunity to try. See, what's extraordinary about young people today is most everything you see and hear about young people in the world today is largely negatively slanted, right? They're lazy, they're entitled, they're this, they're that. Don't believe it for a minute. I go completely the other way. I think young people in this country today, Generation Y millennials and Generation Z. Generation Z goes from 6 years old to 24 years old. Generation Y millennials, 25 to 40 years old. And I think both groups is what I call the younger generations. I think they're the most extraordinary generations to come down the pike. I think they are the most intelligent, resourceful, and pit bull-like generations that we have ever seen in this country. When they see a want to in their life, something they truly want, they will move heaven and earth to get to that want to. Our challenge as parents, educators, employers, is getting them to want something. That's where the battlefield of the future is, because when they want it, they're all in. And so working with this Y generation means that we have to recognize that there must be purpose in all that they do so that we can connect the dots and allow them to move forward. But another part of the puzzle and another part of connecting the dots is that young people today hardly if ever hear the branch creak in their lives. Hardly if ever hear the branch creak. So if I were to ask a lot of you from all over, North America, how many of you have ever climbed a tree before? My guess is a significant number of you at some point in your life has been up in a tree. I mean, I used to climb trees when I was a kid. In fact, we used to live out our imaginations in the trees. Oh man, it was glorious. When I was about 10 years old, I was in a tree and I was up about 30 feet. I was with two of my friends and we were playing. We would go in for hours. And I'm up about 30 feet, which is a perilous height. And while I'm up that far, I was standing next to the trunk and I moved out on this really firm limb and I was standing there and I was surveying the world around me when suddenly the limb underneath me cracks. Literally, not only could you hear it crack, but I could actually feel it like in a pitchfork kind of way go up through my legs and into my spine. And it was at that moment that you get that four-letter expletive feeling right in your belly, right? Right where you get that you're in absolute peril. Can you imagine that happening? If this has ever happened to you, can you think back on it? If it has never happened to you, can you imagine that happening to you? And so at that moment, there are three things that happen. Number one, you become singularly focused, right? I did. Didn't matter what stresses and challenges I had getting into the tree. Didn't matter who I thought was cute at school. I was now focused on the task at hand. Second thing that happens is you start strategic planning. Wouldn't you? I sure did. How am I going to get back to the safety of the trunk? What am I going to grab? Where am I going to fall? Third thing that happens is you take action. In fact, I submit to you that you take massive action. And all three of those things literally happen in the blink of an eye. Boom, 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 right? Focus, plan, action. Boom, I was back to the safety of the trunk, right? It was harrowing, but I got back to safety. See, I believe the branch creaks in our lives many times. Anytime there's a fear of loss or a sense of urgency, the branch creaks a little bit, and it forces us to focus, to plan, and to take action. See, I learned as a young man, and maybe some of you did too, that growth in our lives happen when in fact we step outside our comfort zone, almost never when we are inside our comfort zone. So that to me, when the branch creaks in our lives, these are the golden moments of life. Because these are the moments where we get a chance to focus, to plan, and to take the necessary action that allows us to put things in a proper, pivot or adaptation into our life. It's extraordinary. Because not only are there so many kids today who don't hear their branch creak in their lives, but there are others whose branch not only is creaking, it's broken. Whether it's because of their culture, the color of their skin, they're living in poverty, or their parents are drug addicted or incarcerated, or they don't have parents at all, or they're dealing with social and emotional issues and challenges, or diversity, equity, inclusion. All of these issues and things are real.